Hey everyone, welcome to the show.
Welcome. What's going on, Kat?
Not much. We're like roadies today. We're on the road in our cars.
We are literally on the not on the road. We're in the parking lots in our cars.
Yeah. We're not driving. We're not
driving and podcasting. Just to be clear, we do not encourage driving and podcasting, but we are hanging out in our cars on separate parts of town.
Yeah,
because we couldn't work. Well, yeah, and it's because I left my headphones at work yesterday.
There were so many problems though last night. It wasn't even that. It was like just one thing after another.
I was just so tired. It's probably for the best too, because all of these double shifts I've had to work, like recording at 10 o'clock after a 12-hour shift was probably not a good idea.
Yeah, and I sounded completely terrible yesterday.
Oh yeah, are you better today? You sound good.
Oh yeah, I'm like drugged up on Benadryl, so yeah, I might be like passed out tonight on a couch at the Watch Club meetup, but I'll be fine.
Oh yeah, Watch Club meetup tonight, super exciting.
Yeah,
and we have our live stream coming up on Saturday.
Yes. A lot of people are excited about it. I'm glad.
I know. So we just posted, we're recording this on Wednesday. This will go out Friday. So we just posted it today. And it seems like there are a lot of people excited. So this is going to be a podcast a live stream on Instagram with all about photography. So we're going to have our friend Stefan Watches, Josh, who will be on there as well. And he's a phenomenal photographer, just answering photography related questions about watch photography, gear, equipment, things like that, just kind of talking about it in general. So it'll be at 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, which is GMT -6. If you can't make it on there, send us a couple of questions if you have any before, and we'll make sure to kind of include them in as well. That way you don't have to be left out just because it doesn't work for you as far as the time period goes. But I'm excited.
I am too. I think it's going to go really well. And I hope a lot of people log on and ask some questions because that'll be a lot of fun.
Photography
and
questions.
It'll be our first live stream,
it
together.
Will be. Yeah, aside from we did that one in San Francisco, but it was with with all the other cool kids too. It wasn't just us. So this is it's exciting. That was a lot of fun.
Exciting.
It went on for like 2 hours too. This one will not.
No.
Oh man.
All right, so
today, big news this week. Yeah. And then I guess we're going to talk about the thing kind of that everybody wants us to talk about, but we still refuse to talk about it in specifics. So, but big news this week, like the first really big thing is, of course, Swatch Group had pulled out of Basel World 2 years ago. Last year, they did their own event, Time to Move. This year, they were also going to be doing that, but they've canceled it. And it was supposed to be kind of mid or early month next month. And Swatch Group just announced this week that it's canceled due to concerns with the coronavirus.
Yeah, I mean, and I think we both felt the same way. You know, we both work in the public atmosphere, and I think it was a smart decision, to be honest with you. And I think a lot of people thought it was premature. And it maybe is, but I honestly, it's not something you want to play with. So
right.
I appreciate the fact that they went ahead and canceled it so that people weren't waiting till last minute to find out that it's canceled. They can't get a refund.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't understand why people were upset that it was premature. The show is a month away, so it's not like it's, 3 months away or something like that. It's a month away. You know, as somebody who, we don't have like a lot of big corporate money behind us, so if we were going, it would have been just us. And a lot of people who go, it's just them paying for it, So I would want the chance to be able to cancel plans or change plans last minute or something like that. And yeah, it's smart, we were texting about it. You and I both work around the public, and cold and flu season in and of itself is hard enough. I'm dealing with the public and that, but something as serious as this, especially when you have so many international travelers all crammed up in one spot, I think it's smart on them. And I'm very happy for it. Like from an enthusiast, I'm bummed out because I always enjoy, the big shows. I enjoy seeing all the releases. They did say that they're going to do more central release shows for different regions and things like that, and to stay tuned for updates as far as that goes. But you have to do what's smart, and stuff like this isn't something to really play around with.
No, not at all.
So,
and with the coronavirus, I mean, it's spreading very, very fast. I was reading actually last night, there was a cruise ship off of the coast of Japan that had like 3,200 or 3,400 passengers on board. 10 have been tested positive for the coronavirus. And they only had tested yesterday, I think 300 of those passengers. So 10 out of 300 have it, and they haven't tested the other, 2,000 something passengers. That's pretty big odds. And it's scary, it's not something you want to play with. And again, I think it's a really smart move. And I think from maybe a collector standpoint or enthusiast standpoint, it really doesn't change. These brands still may do releases online, and it's going to be the same way. We're going to get the information the same way anybody else would, same way we have in the last few years. So I don't think it's any different. I think from someone that works in the industry, that's a little bit different because they're going to miss out being there in person. So there's two different sides to it. But I think for most of us, we'll still get excited about the releases, and hopefully maybe they'll tease us. Maybe they'll announce some dates that they will do some of these releases out this year. But I don't know. We'll see. What do you think? Do you think there's going to be more that follow?
I mean, Swatch Group was the first big brand to pull out of Basel World, and then you kind of saw several other brands pull out. I think it's hard because something like SIHH, which is Watches of Wonders now, and Basel, it's hard because it's not the individual groups that have control over that. It's the companies that run the shows. And those companies obviously don't want to be out those multi-millions and millions and millions of dollars of revenue from these brands participating. And I'm sure if they cancel, they have to pay these brands out. I would imagine there's something in a contract about that. So I would want to think that something like that, you would put public safety and public, health kind of first. But the reality is it's a business, and I don't see them doing that. I do wonder about smaller shows, kind of like the Wind Up Watch Fair. That's coming up, I think, in mid-March, right, in San Francisco.
End of March. End of March.
So in San Francisco. So I wonder how it would affect some of the smaller shows. I really don't think big shows will do anything different. Of course, I've never seen a contract for Basel or for anything else. And I know that it would really affect those towns too, because those towns do rely heavily on that income from having so many people come through them as well. So I hate to see it affect stuff like that. But honestly, I don't see them canceling. If anything, they might postpone it, but I would think that if they cancel it, then they're out quite a bit of money. So I don't know. I don't think it'll really have much other effect. Swatch Group can do it because they own their show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus, the brands at Basel who they don't own the show. So they have very limited control over what they can and can't do. Yeah. I mean, I definitely don't mind it. No matter what, we're going to see the Instagram releases. Everybody, all of the big guys have already, will have had their write-ups on it and the press releases and all of that stuff. So we'll, for us as enthusiasts, we'll get the information the same way we used to, no matter what. You were saying. So, I don't see it being that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. Especially for something like Basel and Watches of Wonder, though, I think that would have more of an effect because you already have such a delicate event. Basel's kind of a lot of people are worried about the future of Basel World because of so many brands pulling out. So if you were to cancel on top of so many brands pulling out, what does that say about the future that people are already so concerned about?
Yeah, and I hope that, as time goes on in the next few weeks to month, we can really get a handle on how to treat the coronavirus and maybe have some, I know it's a virus, but you could still treat the symptoms of it and hopefully get to where it's not spreading so quickly. And it doesn't continue to spread. I think as we obviously go into spring and summer, people get less sick. So hopefully events that are in this, late spring and even into the summer will be okay. But it's kind of scary. I mean, and it sucks, but I actually appreciate them somewhat keeping an eye out for people and not just thinking about the fact that they're going to make a lot of money and there's going to be a lot of people there. And I think it was smart, and I do appreciate it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, stuff like that is just so easy to spread nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like our medicine has come much further than it did, hundreds of years ago when plagues wiped out massive amounts of people. But also we didn't have public transportation and international transportation the way that we do now. So, stuff like that is always a concern, especially, I mean, I'm OCD about germs when it comes to cold and flu season. So much less like something much bigger going on. You'll just see me walking around in a bubble. What was that Bubble Boy movie? That'll be me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could drive in my car like that, but I'm gonna try and figure this out.
She's gonna be rolling down the street.
Oh, there we go. That'll be how I get my workout in every day.
Yeah, there you go.
Can't fit through the front door of the house. I'll have to go through the garage and just live in the garage for a while.
Yeah,
it's fine. No worries.
That's hilarious.
All right. I like how we turn life-threatening diseases into jokes.
I know. This is not funny.
It's not. It is very serious situation. So.
It's so serious. Yeah. I mean, I work in a hospital and that's pretty much all everyone's talking about right now. And, I'm telling all of my patients, if you even have the sniffles, you stay home right now. Like, don't you dare come in here. So
don't spread that.
Don't spread that. I don't want it. And I don't want anyone else to get it, and I most of the population I see is over the age of like 65. So sometimes they have a harder time fighting it off. And I definitely don't want them to be around anything like that. So
yeah, for sure.
Not good.
No, but we'll see. We'll see what kind of lasting effects it has. And see what happens here in the next couple months. At this point, it's just a prediction game,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Who knows? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. As many of you, probably everybody at this point is aware, in the Rolex forum, there's been a huge scandal that's broken about a YouTuber, fake watches, and all sorts of other stuff. So just to make one thing clear, we've never been the kind of people or the kind of podcast to gossip or, spread drama or scandal or anything like that. Like, that's just not what we do. That's why none of you guys have heard us talk about it. We just have the desire of participating in that sort of chat, Yeah, we don't do it. We have our opinions. We've talked about it personally. But what we do want to talk about is the pros, the cons, and the dangers of buying from a third party or gray market. So that's something that we want to talk about. Kat, having much more experience with this than I do, definitely has some stuff to say. So I guess let's get into that chat now that we've made it clear we're not going to gossip.
Yeah, well, we're not gossiping. I mean, I think we both felt that, and I think a lot of people are doing this now. It's just, and the awkward situation is this person also put videos out there and articles on how to spot fakes and how to be more cautious when buying watches online. And it's just kind of ironic, but I think you just have to be really careful. And honestly, this has made me very hesitant to buy watches on the gray market used, because I buy everything used. I mean, I have only bought a brand new watch, I think maybe 2 or 3 times. And I've had probably 50 to 60 watches since I started collecting. So it's something that's definitely made me take a step back and reevaluate. And I think we can be very trusting of people, especially when they have a higher position in the watch community. And I think, my first train of thought is, if this person has a YouTube channel, if this person has a Instagram account that has 20,000 followers, if they write for a watch blog, it does not matter. I would always make sure to get references from people that have bought from them before and that are either happy or not happy, because I think that some of the people that had bought from this person are now coming out of the woodwork saying they had issues and this and that, but no one ever bothered to ask about him. So, or her, whoever
Yeah,
we're talking about.
Exactly. There's a lot of trust put into somebody just because of their status in the watch community, and that doesn't mean anything. You shouldn't trust us more than like any other person, online or anything like that. But I could see the idea that, well, they have this big following, or they have this big page, or like they have this big channel. They would have a lot to lose. So why would they do something, shady or anything like that? Or why would you have to concern yourself? But I mean, you just never know with people.
You don't. You never know. And someone, mentioned in a comment yesterday on our Tenn Two account, like, how can we trust you guys that are writing these blogs or have, videos? How can we trust you? And it's like, I'm not asking you to trust me.
We're just reporting the news.
Well, we're not even doing that. I mean, we're just entertainment. At the end of the day, we're just here talking about watches. I'm never reaching out my hand for you to trust me. And you shouldn't. If you want to buy a watch from me that I list, you should go and totally check out my references on the forums. Check out my references on Facebook. That's what you should do as your own homework. And I think that doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter who you're buying from. You should just always do that. And that should be the first step when even looking at a watch. So if I'm looking at a watch online, which I've been lately, before I even message the person, I'm looking up that person's username and seeing what kind of reviews they have before I even reach out to them. Is this someone that I can trust? Have they had any sketchy dealings in the past? And that's something that I think is very important to look out for, and probably the most important thing, if I'm being honest.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that people are so quick if you stay in a hotel, you look up reviews. If you're going to a restaurant, you look up reviews. But, why wouldn't you be so particular about doing the same thing with watches? Especially, in this instance, it was a very large amount of money that had transpired, and it's very unfortunate. It's a very unfortunate situation, and that so many other people have come forth. But even then, so not just this instance, but I had texted you yesterday. There was somebody who was posting in one of the Speedy Tuesday Facebook groups that he sold a watch to somebody, and that it turns out that he got a call from the bank. He had already shipped the watch out, and the buyer's credit card was fraudulent, or it was a stolen credit card, and he's out all of that money. And he's out his watch. So that goes both ways for if you're both buying and selling watches, is you definitely need to do as much research as humanly possible to find out who you're actually shopping with. Try and get personal references if you can, and then just find out as much information about that person. Don't just settle for this is their name and their username. Find out as much personal details. That way, if God forbid something does happen, like you have information to go to some sort of an authority with.
Yeah, and like you said, even from a seller standpoint, you can always do research on the buyer as well. If you're getting paid for a watch, so mostly what I do is PayPal goods and services, because it is protected. It's not the best, by any means, and PayPal 99% of the time is going to side with the buyer, not the seller. However, at least you are protected if something does happen. And also, I feel like if you're doing a wire transfer, a money transfer to the bank, wait till the funds clear before you send the watch. I think that's only fair. So, and I didn't, I know you showed me that post yesterday, and I didn't read much about it, if that had been the case, or if as soon as he saw the money in there, he went ahead and shipped the watch out.
I don't think it posted all of the details, so I don't know.
And you may have to wait 48 hours, 72 hours for that money to actually clear. And I think in that post, that's a very, very rare thing. Obviously, with someone else's stolen account, which I don't think happens very often. But wait till you get the money. And then another thing, if you're selling a watch, I've sold watches before in the past, and I have not touched. So the money goes into my PayPal. I leave that money in there for like a whole week to week and a half, because if the buyer gets the watch and they're like, oh, it had a scratch you didn't show in the pictures, blah, 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 I don't want it, I want to send it back. It's like, okay, so what am I going to do? Am I going to fight? Am I going to argue? Is he going to leave me a bad review? Or can I just take the watch back, refund him his money, and try to sell it again? And luckily that's not happened with me, but I always leave the money sitting there just in case. Because if worse comes to worse, I can refund him his full amount. And once I get my watch back, of course, and it's a done deal. We're okay. But I think that, in the case of this YouTuber that had sold the watch, he had already used the money for something else and he couldn't pay that person back fully. And it's like, you can't do anything with that money. I would always wait a week, 2 weeks even, before I even touch that money that's sitting in PayPal. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I definitely agree in that sort of instance. And also, I mean, I feel like people tend to be a little bit more patient. I mean, in this instance, there was a very long time before, first of all, a watch was delivered. And then secondly, a refund was done. So I think you have to stick to your guns a little bit. I mean, waiting 2 months to get a watch that you paid for is not acceptable. And don't be afraid to just say no. Like at that point, something seems a little bit off if you have to wait a long time to get a watch, unless that's discussed in the beginning. And if that's the case, then that's fine. But if you're waiting, then I would go ahead and try and, start getting a refund or something along those lines, because it just, I mean, you get to a point where enough is enough, and unfortunately, in my opinion, this whole thing had gone on for way too long. I wouldn't have had that sort of patience with it. I understand, like, there's the idea you want it, like, it's a great deal, you'll wait for it, or like somebody, says that they're going to do stuff and then doesn't do it. To me, that's a really big indicator, of something, a little bit not right going on. Not saying that the excuses given weren't valid or anything like that. But I would not be okay losing, giving somebody over $20,000 and waiting months to have something back. That's just not okay.
Yeah. Well, and another thing is, if you see a deal that's too good to be true, 99% of the time it is. I'm going to tell you right now, it is. I have been scammed on eBay before. I bought, actually, this was probably a year or two ago, I bought a Black Bay that was probably $500 to $600 less than what I was seeing it on the forums. And the person had maybe 2 to 3 reviews. They were all positive. And guess what? I didn't check to see that this user had just created his account 2 months ago. And stupid me, I bought the watch, and then I think within 5 to 10 minutes, he deleted the posting, deleted his account. And luckily, through eBay and PayPal, everything was buyer protected. So I got my money back, but it took a week. And that's over $2,000 that I had spent. Yeah. It was a very, very scary experience, and it made me very more cautious. But again, that's my own fault because I didn't do my due diligence. If a person only has 1 or 2 reviews, they're a new member, I would not trust them to even send them $100, to be honest with you. I want to see feedback for months. I want to see lots and lots of reviews. And I know some people are saying, well, it's not fair to those of us that are new to the forums or new to the groups. And I understand that, but everyone can start somewhere. If you don't have any feedback, maybe sell a couple straps, sell a few things so that you can get your ratings and your reviews higher if you do plan on doing this long term, or if you plan on flipping watches. But yeah, I mean, and never be afraid to ask questions. I think a lot of people are, we talked about, getting a watch and there might be something wrong with it you didn't see in a picture. Always ask plenty of questions. And when you're posting a watch for sale, on the other side of it, take as many pictures as you can that are detailed. Let the buyers know everything that they can about this watch, so that there's no secrets when they get it. And I know it seems silly because you want to show the watch in the best view and everything, but I try to just, and even in my description, I always downplay my watch. I always say it's in 90% condition when really it's in 97%. So that way when the buyer gets it, they're happier that it's in better condition than what they thought. Because I don't want them to come back to me saying, "Oh, well, you didn't tell me there was this huge gash on the on the clasp or something." I want them to know everything they can, and usually I let pictures. We have cameras now, so I can take really detailed shots. But even with your phone, just try to get in there and take as many photos as you can, and cover all those scratches, and then just be honest in the posting. Just be honest and upfront with it, and people are going to appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree. And the reality is we're all watch people. So we're all very particular and very detail oriented. I don't know very many watch people who don't look over anything with a fine tooth comb. So as a seller, expect that. And as a seller, literally go through every little scratch. I've seen recently where somebody was complaining about the fact that he had sold a watch to a guy, and then they got into an argument because of, a couple of minor scratches or something like that, and the buyer didn't feel like that was represented. Like you said, I would over deliver. I would just, list every little thing that somebody might be able to nitpick about a watch. This is the condition. This is every scratch on there. This is where you can find stuff. If you want it, here's still the price. And that's fair. And if you guys agree with that, and I would try and get some sort of, written agreement even worked out. I know there's only so much that would go for, and so much good that would do, but you can say, look, we have this written agreement. I listed every little detail about this watch. You signed off that you're okay with that for this price. I just think kind of covering yourself as much as possible, no matter what, is really going to be the best route to go. Because even these people who, we talk to all the time online and things like that, you still don't know a person. And I kind of live my life in a more, you earn my trust kind of way. I'm not the kind of person who just trusts people from the beginning. And in some cases, that's probably not the best way to live. But in a lot of cases, when it comes to business and buying things and stuff like that, it's definitely a much better mindset. Always assume kind of the worst until, you know better, until somebody proves that, it's good or something like that. I just think that really covers it. And you talked about using PayPal and buyer's protection and things like that. And I think so many times people are hesitant to use services like that because of the fees. But the reality is those services are there for a reason. Those services protect you. They protect you as a seller. They protect you as a buyer. And if you are doing a transaction like this, to me, it is worth the little bit of extra fee that PayPal will charge you to have that security and that peace of mind. I 100% believe that it is worth doing something like that. That way it's not just a wire transfer and you can't, you just have to hope to maybe be able to fight for your money back if there were an issue, or to fight to get your money. Using some sort of certified payment service really is the best option. And if you're a buyer and a seller refuses to do that, to me, that would be a little bit of a red flag that a seller isn't willing to protect your money.
Yeah. If they're asking, I only want to do, PayPal friends and family where they don't want to eat those fees, then you tell them, well, I'll add on the fees, I'll give you extra just to have that covered, because that is usually a red flag. And I'll be honest, people have paid me friends and family because they trust me, and that's fine. That's on them though. I've never, I've never asked for that. I tell them, hey, this is the asking price. Goods and services adds 2.9%. You're going to add that to the cost of the watch, so I don't eat it. But if you want, you're welcome to do friends and family, and that's up to you. I never ask for it. It's totally up to them. And I mean, luckily I have great reviews now and people are trusting, but don't always trust people. So
no, I think that's
so scary.
I think that's a great idea. If you offer it, I think that's phenomenal. And, at that point, if you as a buyer want to save your 2 point whatever %, then that's on you, but honestly, odds are you're already getting such a good deal. And that's why you're not buying it from the website. You're not buying it from the dealer directly. You're not buying it from the boutique. You're not buying it from the AG, because you're already getting such a good deal. You can't tell me that 2% more of that is going to make or break the transaction. I know we all like to save a buck. We all like to, to be a little bit more frugal when we can, especially in this hobby, because, 2% does add up in some price points. But especially if I were looking at $20,000, I mean, you bet I would insure that as much as I humanly can.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And even if you're looking at a couple $100 to me right now, like I don't want to just lose money just to lose money. I'm just not in that position. If I wanted to just blow a couple $100, I would go to some 5-star restaurant or something like that for no reason, on a Tuesday night because I was bored, Yeah. But yeah, it's just, you have to do what little things you can to protect yourself. If you're not going to buy from a boutique or an AZ, which obviously is going to be the safest place to go, would be, the actual dealer. But I get it. I get the idea of saving some money. I mean, I'm all about it. personally, I don't, I've bought one watch. I actually was just talking to you about this. I did buy one watch, online through Instagram or whatever. But other than that, everything I've bought has been directly from a dealer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a scary world.
And I think, if that is the safest option. So there is an option out there that you're going to be absolutely safe and you're going to buy something that is, an actual watch and it's not a fake or anything like that. But, again, people want to save money. I like to save money, and I don't really care that a watch is a year old and it's been worn 5 or 6 times. And if it has a couple little scratches on it, it's fine. If that means I can save a few bucks. But again, I have to be really careful. I do my research on the watch. I know what I'm going to get. And I do just as much research on the buyer as well. I mean, on the seller. So you just have to be really careful. And like I said, never be afraid to ask questions. If you're buying something on eBay too, I thought about this. Ask them for a timestamp. Ask them to write on a sheet of paper their name, the date, or even your name and the date on a piece of paper and take a picture next to the watch. That way you know that they're not using any other, random photo they found on the internet of this watch. Yeah. And again, it's just something else that can put your mind at ease a little bit.
That's a great idea.
Something that's not, it's not that hard to ask for. It's really easy to do. And a lot of sellers, especially on the forum and Reddit, they'll go ahead and do that. But again, if you're buying something from a Facebook marketplace or from eBay, I would ask for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That's a really great idea, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, just dot your I's and cross your T's, do every little thing that you can do to keep yourself safe.
Yeah.
Whether you're buying or selling. Yeah, exactly. You have to. You can't just take people at face value. And you can't take people based on the fact that, of who they are or what they have or what kind of, position they have in this industry. And it's unfortunate, but I mean, it is also just the reality. I mean, at the end of the day, would you hand a stranger in the street, $500 to go to the store and pick up something for you? No, you wouldn't. So don't do the same thing if you're buying or selling a watch. Really do some diligence, do your homework, and then don't be afraid, like you said, to ask questions and then to be firm about stuff. If you are a seller, be firm about the facts that you will not ship this watch out until the money clears. If you're a buyer, be firm about the fact that you want, a list of conditions or, this is what your expectation is. Your expectation is within a few days, within the day after this money clears, you expect the watch to be shipped out. Just try and stand your ground no matter what. But you also have to consider the fact that there is another human on the other side of things and they want to be protected too.
Yeah.
Man.
You just have to be really careful. And it's a sticky situation. And I hope everyone is a little bit more cautious now, especially after this has really been...
it's everywhere.
It is. It's been the talk of the town for like the last week. So
everywhere, it's the talk of every town, everything, and people want everybody to have an opinion on it. And man, it's insane. And the thing that I hate most about it is because, obviously I hate that it's affected so many people. There's been other people who've said stuff about it. But I really hate that it's affected the community and the industry as a whole. I've seen a lot of, and even we got that comment about how can you trust us? And I've seen a lot of comments, about other YouTubers, like how do we trust them and whatever. But at the end of the day, you do have to consider the fact that we're all just entertainers. We're just show monkeys. I mean, it's like you don't have. I would hope that you trust us. We're not bringing, but
the latest and greatest news. There's no reason that I'm not asking for anyone's trust. I mean, we're going to write reviews, and you can either believe we're getting paid by the brands to write them, or you can believe that we're giving our honest opinion, and that is totally up to you.
Exactly.
We stand by the fact that we'll be open and honest with you guys with everything that we do. And I said, I'm going to let my reputation speak for myself. And I feel like we both have really good reputations in the community. And we, if someone sends us a watch, we send it back when we say we're going to send it back. And,
minus one or wild.
I feel like that we're minus one and wild. Hey, they never put a date on that though.
They did. And then he said that I could keep it for a while longer.
Yeah, exactly. So.
It's fine.
It is. We're cool. We're cool with them. But they did send us 2 more watches, so
They
obviously
did.
they
So
trust
clearly
us.
they have no problem with it. Obviously, we sell enough watches for them that they'll just keep on sending us watches just to play with. And like you said, we're very upfront. I mean, even on our personal pages, we do clarify, like, if a watch is with us, first of all, nobody's paid us a dime to do anything for anybody.
No,
like,
we're broke, y'all.
Yeah. The Tenn Two, first of all, there is a Tenn Two bank account, but if it did, it would have 0 monies in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's we're always very upfront. We'll say if this is from, like Rob at Topper Jewelers has sent us some stuff to check out, and we have no problem saying that because first of all, I like to check out really cool watches. So
we're not pretending that these watches are ours. We stay up front that hey, we got this in for review. We're taking pictures of it. Of course, we're going to post pictures on our personal accounts because we like to. But
because they're awesome.
Again, we're going to be absolutely upfront with everyone, and even going into the future, we may have some sponsorships coming up, and we'll be open and honest with you guys about them. And there's not going to be any buying us out or anything like that. We're always going to be honest. So, but that's totally up to your discretion to believe us or not. I mean, who's to say? It's up to you. I can't choose what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
You had to take us at value at that point. Yeah, I hate the effects that it's had on kind of the industry and the comments towards other YouTubers and things like that. But, hopefully after, I think right now it's just still the shock of everything going on and whatnot. And hopefully it'll die down and people can just go back to living their lives. Like I said on Instagram, I just want to look at pretty watch pictures, y'all. So
yeah, exactly.
That's all I want.
And honestly, one person's actions did not speak for the entire community. You guys need to remember that. So there are some bad seeds out there, and there's a lot of good ones too. And I'm very, very lucky and fortunate to have a lot of people that I'm very close with and that I trust. And, I have a friend that if I'm looking for a watch, I go to him. He has been completely open and honest with me. And I hope that everyone can find someone like that because he does. He tells me every little nitpicky thing about a watch that I'm going to get in. And he just is super honest. And I know what I'm getting into. And that's the kind of person you want to have on your side. So, yeah. It sucks, but
it does. Everybody will get over it at some point.
Yeah. We'll give it a couple weeks and we'll be talking about something else, I guess. So
I hope. Hopefully, this is the last time we talk about this in general.
Well, and I think we talked about not even going here and talking about any of this, but at the same time, people were kind of assuming that since we weren't talking about it, maybe we were condoning the behavior, and we absolutely don't. And that's something I do want to make very clear is that we don't agree with what this person did. And I think that's why we wanted to get on the air with you guys today and, just talk about it a little bit and give you guys some helpful hints and tips because I've been there. I've bought several watches and it's a scary feeling. Sometimes after you hit that send button, your heart sinks just a little bit and you're hoping and praying that that person's genuine and you're going to get a watch at the end of it. But it's a scary thing. So
it is. And like you said, I mean, I think a lot of people maybe thought that we weren't saying anything about it because of that. And that's not the case. It's literally that I just don't do drama and watch drama or anything else. I've said this, everybody who DMs me, I say the same thing. And I'm like, if I want drama, I'm going to go home and I'm going to watch Real Housewives of something or other, or the Kardashians or something like that. I just don't want any part of this. But I have no problem talking about buying watches because so many of you guys do that and so many, all of us, we buy watches from other people. And I think having these sorts of conversations and having I hate to say that something like this might turn out to be good, but I think a lot of times we get into a false sense of security where when nothing happens for so long that we all are, we're just going around our jolly ways and then something happens and it makes us like, oh crap, this really can happen. Maybe we should think differently, So
yeah,
it starts a conversation. At least it's not the best conversation, but it starts a conversation, and people, I think, going forward would be a lot more cautious. So
yeah.
All right. Anything else to add here? Because we're both on our lunch breaks.
Yeah.
In our
cars. Get back to my patients here.
Got to get back to our real jobs.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, let us.
Our fake job.
It's our fake job that takes up as much time as our real job does.
Yeah.
But if you guys have any suggestions or anything like that, I mean, share them in the show notes on our website. Share them in the Instagram post for this. Let other people know, what your tips are and things like that as well. Because the more, I mean, knowledge really is power in this sort of situation. And the more, especially for people who are newer into this hobby, the more tips, the more advice definitely goes a long way.
For sure.
So
I agree.
All right, y'all. Well, that is it. Make sure you head over to our website, www.tenn2.com. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Tenn2 Media. Subscribe to us over on YouTube. There will actually be a video with us on there after this live stream. So it won't just be this whole podcast thing. So if you do miss out on the live stream, it will be uploaded to YouTube later on. So, and that is all.
That's it.
All right. Well, y'all have a good one and we'll chat soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.